All right, so I think I've screwed up. I think I've screwed up because we have a dilemma on our hands, okay? We have a dilemma on our hands, and this is our first big test, our first big hurdle in Road to Doomsday, I feel like, because this was kind of an unforeseen circumstance that I had thought I had taken care of, and now, due to my lack of, I guess you could say lack of strength, man, lack of mental fortitude, you could say. We're sitting here on 2 Artisan Edition pre-orders that I've had since last year that I did not have the strength to cancel. I thought I was going to cancel them before the Road to Doomsday series started, so I have not included these in the episodes at all. But I thought it was time to be like, hey, I need let's get some viewer help. Let's get some viewer help. Let's figure out what we want to do with these figures, and let's figure out if we're going to keep one of them, get rid of both of them, or keep both of them. Let's just see what we can do. Let's see if we can justify keeping both. Let's see if we can justify getting rid of both. Let's just see what happens by the end of this episode. But the thing is this. If you've been following the show since episode 1, you know that this is the Road to Doomsday. We are rebuilding, rebuilding my entire Marvel Cinematic Universe Hot Toys collection in anticipation for Avengers Doomsday. And I guess I should say we, because I'm getting a lot of help from the viewers, a lot of comments. The whole point of it is to like do this together, to kind of follow a budget, to kind of stay true to it, to kind of be strategic and everything. And we've been doing that, man. We've been picking out different figures. We've been planning out our budgets month to month. We're trying to figure out ways to get more budget for the month so we can get more figures for the Marvel display. And we even last episode, we're starting to pick out the faction that we want to do. Like, what direction do we want to do? What group do we want to create first in our Marvel Cinematic Universe display? I guess I could say MCU. I keep saying the full thing. It's like the National Football League. Instead of just saying NFL, I'm saying the whole thing. So bear with me. But here's the thing. I always throw up the graphic kind of showing like, hey, this is what I already have. These are the pre-orders I have. And included in those pre-orders were an Artisan Moon Knight and an Artisan Winter Soldier. The reason I went ahead and said, hey, pretty much those are already mine is because I already have both of those almost paid off. And so it just didn't make sense that's already kind of done with. So I'm not including that in the budget. We kind of went over that in episode 1. But my dilemma now is I thought I was going to be getting rid of these pre-orders before the show started. I didn't. And then I was like, well, I still will, because I just, I can't get these figures, Something's going on every time I go to actually like get rid of these pre-orders. Something's just like holding me back, and it might be the FOMO. It might be the, hey, I want to have this for content. It might be the, just the collector in me. I'm not sure, man. The Marvel super fan in me. I don't know what it is, but something is preventing me from canceling these pre-orders, and so I don't know if that means that it's FOMO, like I said before, or that means that I'm supposed to have these figures. And we're, of course, talking about the Iron Spider Artisan Edition and the God Loki Artisan. Okay, so these are the two that we kind of got to go back and forth between, man. And the reason we got to make a decision on this is because I have not paid anything other than the NRD on these two figures. So that's why we have to address it, because there's still pre-orders on my list. I'm not going to just pre-order these. This has to fit in with what we're doing for Road to Doomsday. This has to fit in with our shelf. This has to fit in the direction we're going. And this has to fit in with our budget. Again, as I said, the Moon Knight and the Winter Soldier, those aren't included, even those are pre-orders. I even had to get rid of the Artisan Black Widow from Iron Man 2. And that was really tough because I was super hyped about that figure. I have a ton of regret about that right now, to be honest with you. But I have faith that they're going to give us another, maybe Avengers 2012 Black Widow or an Age of Ultron Black Widow. I don't know. I just have a feeling we're going to get another great Black Widow with that new refined Scarlett Johansson skull. But I digress. The reason we got to make this decision now is because of that reason. Because all we have paid on this is the NRD. This has to fit in with the collection. If I decide to keep these, it's got to come. We got to fit it in the budget. If I decide to get rid of both of them, that's stuff we get back in the budget. Now, what we have to decide is the God Loki got pushed back. So if I canceled that, I would get that NRD back, which we would add to our budget. And I'll flash up the monthly budget graphic that I always do up on the screen. Or if I haven't already, it'll be up now. And the Iron Spider, I'm pretty sure, is going to be delayed as well. So if that happens, I would be able to get that NRD back. So we have to decide right now, because I need your help. Comment below right now before we even talk about it. Are you Team Loki or are you Team Iron Spider-Man? Because I kind of want to know where your head's at. If you can only pick one of these figures, what are you going with? And we'll probably do hopefully we'll get some good comments about this and have some good dialogue on it. But we have to really kind of decide what we're going to do here. And I think for me, right off the bat, let's just since we're on God Loki, let's talk about God Loki here. All right, they have a collector's edition sculpted version for $290. Then they have the Artisan Edition, $445. So this NRD was $44. Okay, so if I did cancel this, because again, I would get my money back from Sideshow because this has been pushed back, I would get $44 of NRD back. With the Iron Spider, they have yet to push it back. So if I canceled it, I would not get the NRD. If the NRD, or if it does get pushed back, then I would get that cancellation back. And that, for the Iron Spider, was $460. So that'd be a $46 NRD. So again, that's a lot of money still. And I don't want to just throw that in the drain. But losing $44 or $46 of already spent money is acceptable. Because with our budget constraints, we could put this on payment plan, but this is still going to really dive into our budget here, okay? And we got to figure out if this fits into what we want to do long term with our Marvel Cinematic Universe display. There I go again, MCU display. So stick with me on this, because try to comment in real time, kind of like as you're watching, if you wouldn't mind, like kind of let me know while I'm saying this, like what you're thinking. So I already asked you, like, is it God Loki Artisan or is it Iron Spider Artisan? I'm not even talking about Collector. We can talk about that one. But just out of those two Artisans, if somebody basically said, like, hey, you can only pick one, but you had to pick one of the Artisans, what would you go with? God Loki makes a little bit of sense here because, again, we have a limited edition to 2,500. That's it. We got a collector's edition that could just be whatever. You get pretty much everything in the collector's edition that you get in the Artisan, except for obviously the Artisan hair. And when you look at this God Loki, it just looks amazing. This prototype looks absolutely amazing. Again, his final look from Loki season 2, you could say that, I don't know if this for me would be the definitive Loki, even though it kind of is a culmination of his character from everything. It does make sense to see like this is the definitive Loki. For me, I still think the Thor and the Endgame, not the Endgame. Well, I mean, he did wear the costume in Endgame, but Thor, the 2012 Avengers Loki, that costume to me is kind of the definitive look for him. That's just me. But this looks amazing. I mean, this looks amazing with his throne, with the different timelines. Just, man, this figure looks great. And I remember when I pre-ordered this, I was super hyped to get this Artisan pre-ordered. Fast forward to now, and we're being more strategic. We're being a little bit more, we're taking our time. We're being patient. We're trying to figure out if this is really something we want, if this is the Loki we want. Now, look, Loki's a character they made a ton of hot toys for. This is a character that I could totally see me having more than one of. But right now, I don't have a Loki. We've talked in the past on the, I believe it was episode 1, we talked about maybe getting that Endgame Loki that would fit with my 2012 Avengers display, because I already have the suit up Iron Man, I already have the 2012 Cap. That would fit pretty well into that rotation. And it's, you get a good deal on it right now. God Loki, there is that collector's edition sculpted. There is always a chance that I could find that and just be happy with that. But it, there's just something about the Artisan, and I'm kind of gearing myself more towards the sculpted anyway. But for Loki, for this type of hair, I just don't know if, again, there's going to be opinions on like if it's worth it over the collector's edition. I totally get it. But we have to figure this out because the NRD is already on there. This figure looks amazing. This is a character that I absolutely love. This is a necessity to have a Loki in the Marvel Cinematic Universe display, and I think he's going to do a really great job. I think they got a lot planned for him as well in Doomsday, Secret Wars. Again, I always say Doomsday and Secret Wars because you might see a little hint of them in Doomsday, and then they play a bigger role in Secret Wars. We shall see. But you know that they're going to have Tom Hiddleston's Loki in there in some capacity, I would guess. But here's a character that I just feel like is, we can go ahead and say that we're going to get a Loki. We're going to get a Loki on this road to Doomsday because, again, I don't know when that's going to be. We might be patient and wait to see what else they give us. Once this sells and gets released, maybe they announce another one. We've seen Hot Toys do that in the past where they release something. Look at Han Solo Return of the Jedi. They release Han Solo Return of the Jedi, and then a few months later, boom, another announcement for another Han Solo. This could be the case with Loki. With that said, we got the Artisan here. Looks awesome. But then we also got to talk about the Iron Spider. And same deal with Iron Spider. You got a collector's edition for $340 that you can get. The sculpted hair looks great on the Tom Holland. I already have the red and blue suit Tom Holland from No Way Home. Spider-Man is definitely a character I'm going to have more than one of at some point, but do I really need to prioritize getting another Spider-Man right now when I do have red and blue suit? And it looks like for the most part, that suit is around the same amount. Like, it's pretty much the identical suit he's going to wear in Brand New Day based on the promotional materials. I think it's a little bit different, but regardless, even if it's not, it looks like that red and blue suit is going to be featured. So that'd be kind of cool because I could just make that like my Brand New Day figure. Maybe he wears the same type of outfit. There's so much money to be made with Spider-Man. We've said this all the time with different costumes. Like, there's so much money to be made with Spider-Man. They're going to find a way to get him into a new costume at some point. The Iron Spider, okay? Do I think that this is the definitive look for Spider-Man? I don't. Do I feel like this is the definitive look for Tom Holland Spider-Man? I don't. But here's what I do think about it. I don't know if Tom Holland's Spider-Man has a definitive look for me personally. I love the red and blue suit because I love that look for Spider-Man. But when I think about the huge moments with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, I do love him in Infinity War and I do love him in Endgame. And again, the great thing about this is it's an Endgame labeled figure, and he has a big role in that towards the end. Like, he has an important role. You know, he has the gauntlet. He's trying to get away. He's got that real great moment with Tony Stark at the end. But he also wears this in Infinity War, and that's a really cool moment. So if we went a direction of like, let's kind of, you know, and I don't want to call it collecting backwards because some of these figures like just came out and they still seem to be doing the Endgame thing where they're bringing us an Endgame announcement. We saw that with the Scarlet Witch. With the Wanda from that just came out this year, an Endgame licensed figure. You know, I'm kind of thinking that could be a great idea, you know, again, not to say like, hey, this is the Endgame shelf, but like create that first big phase of the MCU, the Infinity Saga. That could be a route that we didn't really talk about. We talked about collecting backwards, collecting 2.0s of the 2012 Avengers movie. But what if we broadened that and did a Infinity Saga and really started, you know, buying backwards a little bit, but also being patient and just see what they provide us, you know? So for me, this Iron Spider is a great looking figure. It's a great looking figure. I personally think it looks amazing. I'm super hyped about it. I'm one of the rare people. I know, well, I don't want to say I'm rare. I don't want to speak for everybody. I know a lot of people love to just have the mask on all their Spider-Man figures. I actually like showing the actors, and that's why I could see myself getting multiple Spider-Man figures because I would like to have the mask on some and then without. But with this type of head sculpt, I just want to show off the head sculpt for Tom Holland. And so even though I had the red and blue suit, if I was to get the Iron Spider, that could be a really cool look for him. And I could have this Artisan be the Tom Holland head sculpt version, and the red and blue suit I can put the mask on, and that could be the Spider-Man version. So again, there is options there, but when we really have to be strategic with budget, do we really need to prioritize this, or do we need to prioritize like the essential look for a character? You know, we talked about the Fantastic Four, we talked about potential mutant saga coming up, we talked about the Deadpool Wolverine. So there's so many options, man. I think we're going to get even more options for Marvel. This is going to make it even more and more difficult. So I already got to think ahead about like how to get more funds to fund the collection. You know, have to trade off some stuff. Again, all that's in the playlist below if you want to kind of get caught up to where we're at right now. So you can see my dilemma. These were two that I was going to cancel. Because again, I canceled the Artisan Black Widow, which hurt. It really did hurt. Like, that did not feel good. And then I was like, all right, I'll just cancel the Loki and the Iron Spider, and then here we are. And so I never even thought that those would be on the radar. And then the fact that I have not canceled them, I said, okay, here we are at episode 4. I got to bring this up. I got to get the viewer help here because I'm feeling weak. I can't decide if I'm going to get rid of both, if I'm going to keep one, or I'm going to keep both. I really think we got to narrow this down to one. I really do. And that's what I'm going to try to do. And I'm trying to justify it in my mind of like which one is more important to what we're trying to do and which one. So let's just do this. Out of the two, Loki makes the most sense to get an Artisan of. he makes the most sense to get an Artisan of. Again, if we're just trying to figure out if we're just going to keep one, in terms of Artisan, it makes sense to get the Loki because, again, he doesn't have a mask that you can put over his head. If I got the collector's edition of the Iron Spider, it would still look incredible. I wouldn't have that Holland sculpt, but that's okay. With Loki, if you do the collector's edition, you're going to see the hair all the time, and you're going to know, like, oh, that's not an Artisan. But if you stick with the Artisan, this character kind of lends itself to be an Artisan figure. On the flip side of that, it's also kind of straightforward Artisan type hair. I mean, it's just like kind of, you can kind of see it here, how it kind of sticks out a little bit. I mean, it's definitely more realistic, but I'm kind of trying to just stay with sculpted for the most part. But then I'm like, well, I already got the Moon Knight and I got the, the Winter Soldier. Like maybe I should have like a shelf of Artisans, And then I start thinking maybe it's the Marvel Artisan thing I do. Maybe I go back and I get that Scarlet Witch. Maybe I just start getting all the Artisans. Maybe I go back and get the Black Widow. Maybe we just do Marvel Artisans, and that's our thing, So I just want to say I love both these characters. And the thing that's making it tough to say, all right, I'll just go get the collector's edition of Loki is look, I'm a collector, okay? Limited edition 2500, having something that, could be considered, maybe hold its value a little bit better. The Artisans do tend to hold their value better than just the regular collector's edition. I do like to think about that. I do like to think about that a little bit. That's not going to make my decision for me. But when you're kind of splitting hairs, you're going to have to find another angle, because I want both of these figures. That's why I haven't been able to cancel the pre-orders yet. And then you look over at the Iron Spider, and this Tom Holland sculpt is just incredible. And the hair even looks really good. And I'm just trying to figure out, like, is the smarter play to let these go and to just pick up the collector's editions? Is the smarter play maybe to just keep the God Loki because that kind of lends itself more to a Artisan hairstyle and just maybe be okay without the Iron Spider, because I already do have a Spider-Man in the collection. So these are the questions that keep arising, and these are the questions that are really hard to answer. And I just think this figure looks phenomenal. The base is kind of cool. I love how it's got, Mjolnir, and I just like how it's got, like, I just think this is a great figure, and I think it's going to be like it's going to be a show-stopping piece in my opinion. I mean, I just think it looks great. I don't think this is not my favorite Spider-Man suit, but it holds a special place in my heart because of Endgame and because of the scenes in Infinity War. And that's what I'm kind of trying to grab is like this character moment meant more to me than the Loki season 2 moment. Even though that was an amazing moment and it kind of culminated the season for Loki, I had more of an emotional impact thinking about Spider-Man trying to get this gauntlet to the right hands, and then that scene in Infinity War where he suits up and he's trying to go up into space and everything, and then just the one-on-one with Tony Stark there at the end of Endgame. And it's just one of those things where both of these look amazing, but they got collector's editions. And that's the thing. They got collector's edition. Sideshow, we got waitlist. And then Loki, we got waitlist. But I really feel like I'd be able to find these on pre-order pretty soon. And another development that I found out was when I went to say, okay, well, let's just see if we can switch to a payment plan for this Iron Spider. 8 different payments. Now, you might have experience with this. I do not. This says to me that they're definitely pushing back this figure. They just haven't yet. The fact that I could do 8 payments here and only 3 with Loki definitely makes me think Loki is coming out within the next couple months. Iron Spider, it looks like, isn't going to be coming out until the very earliest, the springtime. I just can't help but think that maybe that's what's going on with being able to have 8 payments on a payment plan. And even though that's an 8 payment plan and it's going to be the same amount of money, it is nice to, like, if we decided to go that route, to free up that budget, because now we're only spending about this much money a month as opposed to over $100. So out of the two, man, oddly enough, I'm leaning towards the Iron Spider. But every time I start leaning towards Iron Spider, I'm thinking But dude, this is Loki, man. This is 2,500. This is God Loki. This makes more sense as an artisan. I can't put a mask on Loki, you know? And that is just what I just keep going in these circles with this. So, I'm super hyped for the stuff we got coming. We got to figure out if we did decide to just kind of build out like kind of that Infinity Saga, is there room for both? Because the Loki is technically the multiverse saga, which they started building. He was kind of the beginning of that. He was kind of like a big anchor of that. And the Infinity Saga Loki had one is definitely the one from 2012 Avengers. I'd go get that in-game Loki more than likely, because I don't know if they would really redo that character or what. I'm hoping they would. That's why I'm kind of being patient with Marvel. But I also want to be able to start building out some pieces so that way we can kind of take our time and pay over time and find deals. But here's the thing. If we decided, let's just go through this real quick. If we decided to get both, that's really diving into our budget. We're paying a lot of money for these two artisans. There's a big part of me that thinks we cannot do that and still figure out how to do everything else we're trying to do. Again, I just want to stress the Artisan Moon Knight and the Artisan Winter Soldier, I absolutely cannot wait for. Those are ones that have a lot of payments already made towards them before the show started, so we're safe there. But Deluxe Wolverine, we've talked about, obviously, coming home. Yelena, we have pre-ordered. So I'm not against at some point in the series. I don't want to have to just like cancel and not get the NRD back. So being able to cancel God Loki, I'd at least be able to get that $44 back, put that towards the budget and stuff. But with this 8 payments thing that came up with Iron Spider, now I'm thinking that this is going to be pushed back as well, and I can get both NRDs back. So there's a part of me that's thinking, do I get rid of both of these for the sake of the budget, for the sake of the collection? And that's why this is our first big hurdle. This is our first big hurdle is because before I could kind of be like, all right, it's between Deadpool and Wolverine. You know, if I get the other one, I could just pick up the other one pretty much for retail later on. With these artisans, you just never know. These tend to hold their value a little bit better. These tend to go up in value a little bit more once they've been released. Spider-Man's just an insanely popular character, as well as Loki. So this is a tough one. This is why I need your help in the comments below. I need you to let me know what you think. Your vote is going to carry a ton of weight in this decision. And I'm going to give you multiple options. Obviously, we've already asked you, hey, is it Loki or is it Spider-Man? That's an option. Like, just tell me which artisan you'd rather have. Again, the artisan. Would you rather have the artisan Spider-Man, artisan Loki? Then we have to decide, do we keep both? Do we cancel both? Or do we pick one or the other? So those will be the 4 options. Let me know in the comments below already, because I'm going to definitely be reading the comments. And plus, I want to have a conversation with you guys because I want to kind of go back and forth. But I'll also put a community post up probably a day after this is uploaded, putting that out there, and then I'll get people's votes. So make sure you do both if you wouldn't mind. Like, comment below, and then remember to fill out the community post. Make sure to vote on that poll, and then we'll decide for sure what we're going to do. But this is really kind of like a reaching out for some help of like, hey, we got to make this decision together. This is a big part of Road to Doomsday, is the viewership, is the community part of it. And last episode, I got some great feedback on what team to build. I think we got to figure out this decision before we start building out whatever faction we want to build, or we start kind of deciding on like that first direction to go. There might be a case to be made that I'll just pick up the figures I want as we go, but I really want to try to be strategic here and really try to build out the best possible version of the MCU that I can in anticipation for Doomsday. So let me know in the comments below those things. Definitely look out for the community post where I'm going to have you vote on a poll. I'd really appreciate the participation. And we'll go from there. So again, are we going Team Loki? Are we going Team Iron Spider? Let me know in the comments below. Continue to be with me on this journey. This is just going to get better and better. I can't wait to show you what I got in store. We got a lot of different stuff that's going to come up. I have different creative ideas of like how we can maybe figure out a way to get more budget to pay off more figures. I also have things that are going to be coming up in future episodes that are going to definitely throw a curveball into the mix, and I'll explain that later on. And we're just going to be doing this in real time like we've been doing. So again, who knows what's going to get announced? Who knows what's going to get released? But you can know that Road to Doomsday is going to be here. I'm going to be covering all of it, and we're going to be trying to be rebuilding the ultimate Marvel Cinematic Universe Hot Toys collection in anticipation for Avengers Doomsday, but we're going to do it strategic, we're going to do it on a budget, and we're going to do it together. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you loved the video, and I'll see you next time.